Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are jumping right into something that's been highly requested and frankly is just a brilliant integration. We're talking about getting enterprise-grade Axis IP cameras natively into the Apple Home ecosystem. And we're going to do it using the Axis HomeKit Camera Micro app, running right via the CamScripter app. So if you've ever wanted to seamlessly blend professional security hardware with that intuitive Apple Home experience, you are in exactly the right place.
Here's a quick look at our roadmap. We'll start with the whole zero hardware architecture, check out the native features and technical specs, walk through a really quick 10-minute setup, and wrap things up with smart automations and privacy.
All right, part one, no extra hardware needed.
So let's establish right up front why this integration is an absolute game changer. Think about it. What does it normally take to get pro-grade cameras into the Apple Home app? Usually, it means setting up some clunky secondary server. You know exactly what I'm talking about. A Raspberry Pi running Homebridge or scripted tucked away in a closet somewhere, right? It's extra hardware you have to buy, maintain, and inevitably troubleshoot when it randomly goes offline. But here is where things get really interesting. We are completely eliminating that external hardware. The Axis HomeKit Camera Micro app is a Node.js package that runs directly on the camera's internal ArtPec processor. Basically, the camera bridges itself. You're literally just using the processing power Axis already baked right into the hardware, turning the camera into its own native Apple Home bridge. Zero extra boxes, zero messy middleman servers. Moving on to part two, native features you expect. Now, ditching the hardware only matters if the software actually delivers, right? And the crucial takeaway here is that you don't sacrifice a single ounce of functionality by moving the bridge to the edge. We're talking native H.264 live views, super fast tile snapshots that refresh in roughly 120 milliseconds using VAPX JPEG, and perfectly synced two-way audio. The app actually transcodes the camera's native AAC audio straight to Opus for you. Plus, you get those smart motion alerts pushed directly to your phone, straight from the camera's internal analytics. And the end result? It's just stunning. You get incredibly clear native video streams from cameras like the Axis M1137 and Q1656, and they load directly in the Apple Home interface, usually in under a second. Honestly, it looks and feels exactly like you just bought a consumer HomeKit camera off the shelf, but you're getting that undeniable, bulletproof optical clarity of Axis hardware.
Let's dive into part three, under the technical hood.
Okay, let's pull back the curtain a bit on the engineering side. The real secret sauce here is something called copy mode. Think of copy mode like taking a letter out of an Axis-branded envelope and just sliding it straight into an Apple HomeKit-branded envelope. The actual letter, the video stream itself, isn't touched or rewritten at all. The native H.264 RTSP stream is simply repackaged into HomeKit SRTP. This means virtually zero extra CPU load, so your camera can keep running its heavy-duty security tasks without breaking a sweat.
For all the IT pros tuning into this explainer, here's a quick look at the core settings you can tweak right inside the CamScripter UI. You've got maximum flexibility here. You can toggle your video mode between copy and transcode, which is a super handy libx 264 fallback if iOS decides to be fussy about a specific bitstream. You can also manually dial in your stream resolutions, bump up bit rates between, say, 2,000 and 4,000 kilobits per second for that optimal quality, and easily flip on debug logging if you need to do some deep dive troubleshooting.
All right, on to part four, the 10-minute setup process.
Now you might be thinking, setting up an edge bridge is going to take hours of frustrating command line tinkering. Nope, it's an impressively simple three-step process that literally takes about 10 minutes. First, you upload the zip package via the standard CamScripter web UI. Second, you configure your basic credentials. And third, you scan a code to pair it with Apple Home. That's the whole shebang. Looking at step two, the configuration page is wonderfully clean and guided. You just punch in your viewer-level credentials, and quick side note, setting up a dedicated viewer account is highly recommended over using your root login. Then just grab that HomeKit pairing pin right off the screen and hit save. The exact second you do that, the app restarts and publishes the accessories straight to your local network. When you jump over to step 3 on your iPhone, you'll go to Add Accessory and select More Options. Now, don't panic if you see an uncertified accessory warning pop up. That is totally standard for any bridge Apple didn't manufacture themselves. Just go ahead and tap Add Anyway, punch in your PIN, and give it a few moments while the MDNS Discovery works its magic to negotiate the connection. And boom, just like that, you're paired. You'll be greeted by that highly satisfying camera added to my home screen. Your robust enterprise-grade camera is officially and securely linked right into your personal ecosystem. Next up, Part 5. Motion Alerts and Automations.
Okay, so we've got beautiful video streaming, but how do we make this setup actually smart? Well, the bridge taps directly into the camera's brain. The internal Axis Video Motion Detection, or Axis Object Analytics, acts as a native HomeKit sensor. This is huge because it means you can trigger your smart lights, kick off a siren, or get rich push notifications based on super accurate edge analytics. You're completely ditching that basic pixel change detection that triggers false alarms every time a shadow moves.
And finally, Part 6, Privacy and Troubleshooting.
Before we wrap this up, we definitely need to touch on local security and fixing those occasional network hiccups. Because let's face it, even the best setups have a little friction sometimes. If you're ever staring at an endless loading spinner in the Home app, remember that transcode fallback mode we talked about? That is your best friend for fixing iOS stream incompatibilities. If your tile says not responding, just double-check your camera credentials in the UI. Missing a motion sensor? Unpair and repair the camera. iOS caches the accessory database heavily, so sometimes it just needs a hard refresh to see new services. Oh, and remember, if you want out-of-home remote access and push notifications, you absolutely must have an Apple Home Hub, like an Apple TV or a HomePod, running on your network.
But why does all this local processing really matter? Well, the absolute best part of keeping the bridge directly on the camera hardware is that you completely eliminate the need to send your private video feeds to questionable third-party cloud servers. Your video either stays entirely on your local LAN or it routes securely through Apple's end-to-end encrypted relay when you're using a Home Hub for remote access. That means no external telemetry and no data harvesting. It's just your enterprise camera and your Apple device, period.
Which leaves us with a pretty fascinating question to ponder as we close out this explainer. When you bring robust enterprise hardware and combine it with consumer simplicity right there on the edge, is the era of clunky external smart home servers finally over? This Axis and CamScripter integration absolutely makes a compelling case that the future of smart home security is incredibly powerful, effortlessly local, and wonderfully straightforward. Thanks so much for learning with me today, and I really hope this helps you take your smart home setup to the exact next level.